This is St. Louis Baseball Weekly.
Pulling up and seeing Arch in the stadium, I think that's just a treat every day. The expectation has been set, and the expectation is we're going to win.
St. Louis Baseball Weekly is brought to you by Arrowhead Built, exclusive provider of the Outside Elegance line. Dress your home with style at OutsideElegance.com. And now, your host for St. Louis Baseball Weekly, Brian Stahl.
It's deja vu all over again as we say 5-0 heading into the weekend. Hello and welcome to another edition of St. Louis Baseball Weekly. Brian, so glad to be alongside another jam-packed hour of Cardinal conversation, 60 minutes jam-packed, as we will hear from the likes of Paul Goldschmidt, Paul DeYoung, Luke Gregerson, Mike Shildt, up and down the line. Did I mention Dexter Fowler? Did I mention Adam Wainwright? Did we? Yeah, we've got a lot to get to. So what do you say we just go ahead and get things kicked off in traditional fashion?
Leading off.
Well, we took a couple years off in the postseason, and it's time for us to get back in there and be a force down the stretch and in October. Somebody asked me the other day, when are you coming home to Georgia? And I said, in November. And that's where we're all thinking right now. Is this is a team that if we go out there and we execute and we play like we can beat anybody on this green earth. So we just got to go out there and play well.
All right. I realize that this is the end of April. It's officially the first month of the season. A couple days in March, but first month of the season. So let's not put the cart before the horse. However, when you look at the St. Louis Cardinals team, you listen to comments like that from Adam Wainwright, that is very reflective of the general vibe that is around not just the clubhouse, but the organization. The moves that were made during the offseason was the focus on winning in 2019, winning now. And you saw this team come together very quickly in spring training. You get the feeling that it's not April around the Cardinals clubhouse. It feels like they're already in mid-season sort of mode, that they've already gelled. That, part of it is the fact I think that Mike Shildt has a starting lineup that he's been pretty repetitive with. You've not seen a whole lot of variation. Some of it has been necessitated because of injury, but for the most part, it's been those same starting guys that have been running out there. The rotation has rolled through, even though some of us, you got to do this, you got to do that. Mike Shildt and the Cardinals have been very consistent in what they've done, unless injury has dictated otherwise, and they've been able to reap the rewards thus far. Second time they've got the 5-game winning streak as they enter the weekend with the Cincinnati Reds coming to town. You've got Miles Mikolas opening things up against Steve Scalfani, and then Dakota Hudson pitching on Saturday against Molly, and then Jack Flaherty on Sunday going against Sonny Gray. Sets up for a good weekend. Some good giveaways. Obviously, we'll know the Hall of Fame class, as that will be announced Friday evening at 6 o'clock. I'm hearing some rumblings that kid who grew up across the river watching the Cardinals may be wearing a red jacket. So nothing official to announce. I'm just saying, I'm hearing some rumblings that might be some good news for Jason Isringhausen. So we'll see. We'll find out soon enough. And as we talked about with Izzy, all of the candidates are deserving. I mean, that's the thing. When you get into that class, there's not a bad name that's on the list. But be interesting to see how that vote goes down and who exactly gets that final nod and who will be back up again next year, as a couple more names hopefully will be added to that list. I'll bring up once again, Tommy Herr belongs on that Hall of Fame ballot in 2020. Somebody who certainly is going to be a first ballot red jacket would be one Adam Wainwright. You heard him talking about the October goals and not going back home until November. What a week for Adam Wainwright. What a week off the field for Adam Wainwright, as officially announcing yesterday that he and his wife, actually not just he and his wife and his daughters now have a new member of the family. Became official on Thursday that Caleb Adam Wainwright officially adopted and part of the family. So congratulations to Adam and Jenny and all the big sisters that they got a little guy in the house. And I think that is absolutely fantastic. And we've been able to witness and see here over the years, that Wainwright family does have a lot of love. And they do a lot of things in the community, and to open up their heart for an additional member of their family, not a surprise at all. And just another great example of why Adam Wainwright is one of those guys that not only can be an example of how you go about and you compete on the field, but then how you use that and how you be a role model off of the field. So just very happy for the entire Wainwright family and little Caleb. How about that? Very cool. Apparently already took a trip through the clubhouse with Dad after what was his 150th career win with the Cardinals.
I'm glad to get there. You know, for whatever reason, those numbers, you know, that those things like that, they stand out and they mean something to pitchers and to position players and all those kind of cool, you know, feats that you can accomplish. It means something to me. I'm proud to have been a Cardinal for the whole time of it too. I'm proud to win most of those with my brother Yadier Molina and a lot of those in front of these great fans here in St. Louis.
Pretty good. I mean, when it's still my ace, and every time he get in the mound, I mean, I know that it's going to give everything they have, and today he did that. I mean, he showed me that he's ready to go, and he pitched a great game. I'm just happy for him.
Let's just step back and appreciate what accomplishment that is. You know, you look at the Mount Rushmore of the pitchers in this organization, which is pretty impressive. He's carving out a spot. You know, 150 wins as one organization is very impressive, and you know, today was indicative of how he's done it. You know, it was there was pitchability to it, there was grit to it, and there was adjustments to it. You know, he's just a winning guy and winning player, and he showed those attributes today.
There's no question that Adam Wainwright has carved out a spot in Cardinals history, even before 150 wins. No question about it. Again, he's going to be a first ballot Red Jacket as soon as he's eligible, Adam Wainwright's going in. Hands down, no question about that. Mike Shildt raised an interesting point, though, which leads to this question. I'm not asking you to just throw out your names right now, because I think we all know that Bob Gibson would be the first Cardinal pitcher that would go up on a Mount Rushmore of pitchers. I mean, Bob Gibson, very arguably, is on the Mount Rushmore of all-time Cardinal greats, period, regardless of position. But if you were going to put together your Mount Rushmore of Cardinal pitchers, what would be the qualifications? Do you go strictly by wins? And so then it's Bob Gibson, and it's Jesse Haynes, and it's Bob Forsch, and then it's Bill Scherdahl, and you know, Adam Wainwright is on the outside looking in because he's a couple behind. You've only got room for 4. You know, it's Washington, Jefferson, Teddy Roosevelt, and then Lincoln. You've only got room for 4. And if you go by wins, Wainwright is still 3 behind Scherdahl. So do you look at total games? I mean, games started. I mean, where do you mix in somebody with the saves? Where do you mix in somebody like a Jason Isringhausen? Who, by the way, Adam Wainwright credits a tremendous amount of help in 2006. That whole deep breath before he threw the pitch to Carlos Beltran, Adam Wainwright will tell you that was some advice he received from Jason Isringhausen about making sure that he breathed when he was out there. But where does that fit? When you look at games, I mean, total appearances for the Cardinal pitchers, you know, Izzy's number 6. You still have Jesse Haynes up there at number 1, and then Gibson, you know, 554 and 528. Scherdahl's right there. Bob Forsch. You know, but then you've got Doak, and, you know, Wainwright's in at number 8. I just kind of wonder, do you go with wins? Do you go with innings pitched? Do you go with strikeouts? Do you go with saves? Do you go with games? Do you go with postseason appearances, World Series championships? Because one of the names that we all throw out there, because he is one of the all-time greats, and he's certainly one of the most colorful personalities in the game, even though a lot of us never saw him pitch, we still think, oh, well, what about Dizzy Dean? You know, Dizzy Dean, when you actually look at a lot of the Cardinals' all-time records, you know, Dizzy Dean is 7th when it comes to wins as a Cardinal. Not that that's shabby at all. He won 134 games. You know, Dizzy Dean is, when you're looking at the games, just total games, Dizzy Dean's not in the top 10. You look at games started, he's not in the top 10. So where do you put a Dizzy Dean? Does he not make the Mount Rushmore of Cardinal pitching? Maybe not. A Chris Carpenter, who because of injury doesn't have the bulk, the quantity of numbers, but he sure has the quality when he was healthy, doesn't he? So I agree with Mike Schild. I think the statement is very true. It's very on point. Adam Wainwright absolutely is carving out that spot in the Mount Rushmore. But trying to figure out, like, okay, if you had to narrow it down to 4, it's not as easy as you may think. Gibson, no-brainer. But then after that, what qualifications are you going to use? What's the structure you're going to use to vote for that Mount Rushmore? So think about it, because I think when you actually get into it, and because they're having so many great pitchers in Cardinals history, to try and not discredit, but not credit some of the deserved resume that these pitchers have put together, it's hard. It's a little bit of one you got to sit back on and kind of calculate, kind of figure out there. So that's I haven't fully wrapped my mind around that one just yet. But I will say, again, just congratulations to Adam Wainwright, another notch on the belt, as he likes to talk about. And, yes, he and Yadier Molina, who now they are one behind Javi Lopez and Tom Glavine. One behind. So the 150th win, a big deal for Adam Wainwright. He made it clear, though, that he's also looking forward to that next outing because that will be number 248, that Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina are battery mates to start a Cardinals game. That will tie them with Glavine and Lopez, who did that with Atlanta from 94 through 2002. A tandem, along with the likes of Greg Maddux and John Smoltz and everybody else part of that great Atlanta staff. That's who Adam Wainwright grew up watching. And so it's a big deal for him that he and Yadi are in position, being together these 13-plus years, actually longer because they were in the minors together in 2004. So 15 years of being able to play catch, to be battery mates, and to move past Glavine and Lopez. Pretty outstanding. And, of course, we know a couple seasons ago, Yadi and Waino moved past Bob Gibson and Tim McCarver, one of the other great battery mates in Cardinals franchise history. All right, when we come back, as mentioned, Cardinals, it is April. I get that. But, man, there has been a lot to like from this Cardinal team thus far. We'll take a look at just where some of the different names are, the contributions coming from all areas. We'll go over that. We'll hear from Dexter Fowler. We'll hear from Paul Goldschmidt, Paul DeYoung. And we've got a whole lot more, so keep it right here. Brian Suh with you. It's St. Louis Baseball Weekly, part of the Gateway Sports Network.
Stay connected with the latest Cardinals news 24/7, 365 days a year. Log on to STLBaseballWeekly.com.
You already know Arrowhead Building Supply is the premier supplier of roofing and siding in St. Louis. But did you know that Arrowhead is also your exclusive supplier of Provia vinyl siding? Furthermore, Provia is the very same vinyl siding which used to be called Hartman siding. Yes, Provia is famous for their doors and windows. But you contractors remember Hartman siding very well, with its great performance and those famous heart-shaped weep holes. Call your local St. Louis area Arrowhead location today and compliment your Provia doors and windows with Provia vinyl siding. ArrowheadBuildingSupply.com.
Do you need a car, been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off with the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just go to 18ignoremyscore.com right now. That's www.18ignoremyscore.com. Auto financing the easy way. 18ignoremyscore.com. Get started today. Auto financing the easy way.
Hey Cardinal fans, the weekend of May 10th, 11th, and 12th, the Cardinals host the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it's loaded with great giveaways. Friday, May 10th, it's the Yadier Molina and Roberto Clemente double bobblehead, presented by Coca-Cola and Walmart. On Saturday, the Adult Cardinals Performance T-shirt, courtesy of Maryville University. And on Sunday, May 12th, bring mom to the game. It's Mother's Day. And that afternoon, the giveaway is the Cardinals Crossbody Bag. Tickets available at cardinals.com/promotions.
Missed part of today's show or just want to go back and listen again? Log on to STLBaseballWeekly.com for podcasts, extended interviews, and more. It's all online at STLBaseballWeekly.com. And now back to St. Louis Baseball Weekly with Brian Stoll.
How would you describe you felt at the plate over the last 10, 11 games?
I've been feeling good. I've been putting good swings, good at bats, and it's kind of contagious. The boys have been taking good at bats, and it's awesome to see.
You talked back at the warm up about your swing being in that perfect place. Barry Montagne was there. Did it continue, or how would you describe your swing today?
It's funny. He texted me yesterday. He's like, "Hey, keep swinging it." He goes, "Now over 300." I said, "I got you." And it's funny. It's because literally he texted me this morning.
Is that a big deal for you? I mean, this is the first time since you've been with the Cardinals that your average is above 300. Is that a big deal, or is it like, hey, you're just swinging the back good?
Man, honestly, man, I'm just trying to go out and take good at-bats and let the game come to me. Whatever situation it is, just trying to execute the situation. So.
You guys, these two teams have hit almost 40 home runs so far in the season. I mean, can you explain what's going on?
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. You look at it, it's not bad pitches. Like it's just they're taking good at-bats over there, and pitchers are making good pitches, and just balls are going off the park. It's weird.
You talk about your swing feeling right. I mean, a lot of times we think about just like the bat. But what about the rest of your body playing the role in swing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of factors. That's baseball, but like you said, you're not going to feel great every day. You got to maximize when you do.
That, of course, is Dexter Fowler, who, if you go back to April 9th, he was batting 167. Since then, in the 12 games, he's hit at a 400 clip, 18 hits in 45 at-bats, a 449 on base, 556 slug, so a 1.005 OPS. But what we've seen, not just out of Dexter Fowler, is you look up and down this Cardinals lineup, and they are finding different ways to score runs, different ways to win a game. Even if one aspect of the game falters for a little bit, a different part is coming in, whether it is, Andrew Miller, who had a couple of good outings, who had struck out Christian Yelich, didn't have a good outing his last time out. Jordan Hicks comes in and did a masterful job of not just relying on Velo and trying to throw it past Christian Yelich, but actually pitching, setting Christian Yelich up and having him all twisted up like a pretzel to get the strikeout. You look at what John Brebbia has done, what John Gant has done, Dominic Leone, Giovanni Gallegos. I mean, that Cardinal bullpen has done a fantastic job. Adam Wainwright had that rough first inning, moved the ball out of the middle of the plate, through that combination of the different fastballs, cutter, everything else. Was able to give 6 innings before the bullpen came in and did their thing. Jack Flaherty had a bad outing, came back, made some adjustments, got things fixed. Miles Michaelis turning the corner, getting things rolling along. Pitching's been rolling along pretty good. Then you look at the likes of Jose Martinez, who just continues to hit, like a 370 clip. You've got Dexter Fowler, who has been hitting the ball well. Marcell Ozuna, even though it's still an adventure in left field defensively speaking, what he's been doing at the plate, I mean, listen to some of these numbers. This is just a handful of them. Paul DeJong is 4th in the National League with a 343 batting average. Ozuna, Goldschmidt, they're tied for 4th with 9 home runs in the National League. DeJong, 2nd with 11 doubles. Ozuna, 3rd with 21 RBIs. Colton Wong, his 4 stolen bases are 4th best in the National League. Yadier Molina, who he and Matt Carpenter suddenly now they're in a stolen base competition. Yadi's hitting at 360 with runners in scoring position. He's got 9 hits, which is 4th best in the National League. Up and down this order, regardless of the position, we saw the double play come into factor that last game against Milwaukee. Cardinals have found a lot of different ways to win, which is why, once again, they find themselves in the midst of a 5-game win streak. Do you break out the World Series trophy now? No, you don't. But can you enjoy and can you appreciate this team is fun to watch? This team has absolutely been a lot of fun to watch, and part of it is because of the different ways that they're doing things. And it is more noticeable that you see players going first to third, or players even coming around and scoring from first base. This team is being more aggressive on the base paths for the most part. A couple of exceptions here and there, but for the most part, they've been very smart about that as well. And then, as mentioned, you've got some guys in the middle of the order You know, I know there's some people out there who are a little concerned about Paul DeJong hitting third. I'll point out again, he's hitting .343 thus far in the season.
I think we've had a good focus lately of, not trying to hit home runs. I think we've shown in the last few games that we can score many different ways, and I think that's one of our strengths, top to bottom. Going first, third, doubles, scoring from first. All those things, taking a walk. Those are how you get those big rallies, and that's how you really put pressure on the pitcher.
What's been an indication of where you're at, the fact that you hit the home run right center, but you also did a double down the line. All fields right now.
That's exactly where I want to be. Off speed going away. That's even better for me, so that means I'm seeing it. And, I'm not trying to do too much. I'm staying within myself. And, I just feel good right now at the plate, just trying to stay hard through the middle. And, seeing Goldie and Karp's at bats in front of me and having Ozuna and Cafe behind me, I think we got a pretty good lineup right now.
There's been a team before that's had as many runners score, like first to home and first to you guys are running a lot.
Yeah, Busch Stadium's big. The corners play funky sometimes, so we're not out at Miller Park where every ball is home run it seems. So we're finding ways to score here, and I think we're all getting comfortable where we're at. We're getting in the groove, and for us it's about passing the baton and spraying doubles all over the field, going first to third. All those little things kind of add up at the end.
They do add up, and it is a very unselfish style of play. It is reminiscent of Cardinal teams past, and it is just fun to watch. I tweeted this the other day, and we knew coming in that Paul Goldschmidt was an elite player, was one of the best out there. The fact that he played in Arizona, didn't get to see him as much. I know some people say the same things about Mike Trout, that, hey, he's the best player in the game, and unfortunately enough people, enough baseball fans don't get to see him on a regular basis. I believe that. Now, again, I'm one of those people. We haven't gotten to see enough of Mike Trout, but I believe it. I respect the opinions of people that are putting it out there. But we had heard so much about Paul Goldschmidt, and we had at least been able to see him twice a year when the Cardinals played there and he played here. But being able to see Paul Goldschmidt now play on a daily basis, as much as he talked about how he's been blown away by the defense of Colton Wong, that he had heard about it, but again, the appreciation of now playing alongside him, Paul Goldschmidt was just marveling at what Colton Wong is doing defensively at second base. I think when we see what Paul DeJong is doing, and offensively, yeah, his last 14 games, he's hitting .339, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs. That's all great. He scored 12 runs. But again, the defense at first base, the way he runs the base pass, the way that he makes sure that he moves the runners. To me, he has been the epitome, and I tweeted this. I think Paul Goldschmidt is a human instructional video on how to play baseball the right way.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a good team effort. It hasn't been one guy who's just really carried the team. They pick me up a lot on nights that I've had some bad games. So, we just talk about, no matter what the situation is, just having a good at-bat, hit the ball hard, and eventually good things are going to happen. Like we kind of talked about earlier, there's a lot of different ways to score runs. You can be sac fly, ground balls, home runs, of course, but sometimes you got to do it some different ways.
Besides the RBI today, can you just talk a little bit about going first to third, second to home, first to home? I guess this is routine for you, but it seems like the team as a whole, you guys have really been relying on the base run.
Yeah, I think we know how important it is, and if you can go first to third like the play Ozuna did, suck out, and then I think Yadi got that RBI. It makes it a lot easier on your offense to not have to get the extra base hit or get that hit. You can score in a number of different ways, and something we talked about in spring training, and it's carried over, and just really anything we can do to help the team win. There's been good plays on defense that have helped us, even Lane coming in and making that great catch to get the third out there in the 7th or 8th inning. So instead of just trying to rely on one way to win, just try to do everything we can, and maybe one day it will be your defense that wins it, maybe one day pitching or offensive base running, and give us more of a chance to win.
Do you have a feeling after you're trying to steal that one and had to go back that you're going to have a long run right after?
No, I was kind of thinking that's the most you ever run in baseball. Had to beat out an infield single and sprint to second, sprint back, and like 2 pitches later go first to home. So it's just people talk about how there's not really that much conditioning in baseball, and it really isn't. But until times like that, where then you got to go back out and play defense, play 5 more innings, and that's why you train, and whatever it takes for us to win and score runs.
Which is a better indicator for how you're doing at the plate, the 464-foot home run, or getting a couple singles even if they're not as pretty?
You tell me. You know, I mean, it's something I've been thinking about. I mean, you know, obviously I've had the homers, but there's been, you know, a lot of strikeouts and times that I've been over, you know, the average or whatever. So, you know, you're looking and trying, I guess, to decide, you know, kind of, I mean, the home runs are good, but are they propping it up? What, you know, is there an adjustment that needs to be made, or is it just, hey, if I can just be a little bit more consistent? I mean, you don't really know what the future's going to hold. I think, you know, every day I just try to show up and, you know, have good at-bats and put consistent swings on the ball. There's been days that I've done that, but there's also been days where, you know, it hasn't been very good at-bats or inconsistent swings. So just try to, you know, come out tomorrow and hit the ball hard. I think as long as you're, you know, making good contact, you know, good things are going to eventually happen. It's a long season. You'll go through stretches where, you know, you hit a lot of home runs or, you know, you walk a lot or strike out a lot or whatever it is. And over the long run, it usually evens itself out, but you don't want to fall into the trap of just, you know, relying on, you know, a home run or something like that.
Do you feel like you're getting there, though? I mean, a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about how you're still trying to find that groove with the home runs. Do you feel closer to that?
I felt pretty good. I mean, it's not like I felt bad, but just need to be consistent with it. Hit some balls hard, have good at-bats, and I mean, that doesn't really change whether I'm, you know, struggling or having a lot of success. Just try to take it day by day and come out tomorrow and put myself in a good position and hit the ball and see what happens. I mean, it hasn't been as consistent as I would like, but, you know, there's still been good swings in there, there's still been good at-bats, and, you know, you're not going to show up and just get hits every single day, so that's why, you know, it's a long season, and just try to keep working, keep playing the best I can, and, you know, try to help us win. Luckily, we have such a, you know, a very deep roster, and, you know, I feel like there's been days where, you know, I had chances to drive guys in, or you know, they did get the job done, and, you know, whether it's Paul behind me or Ozuna recently has been crushing the ball, or even, you know, guys maybe down in order, I mean, you know, been picking me up or picking other guys up, so that's, you know, that's a good thing.
That is a very good thing, and Paul Goldschmidt is absolutely correct, because the run support has come from up and down the lineup. I mean, we saw Colton Wong, who's continued to still do well at the plate, but he was driving in some of those runs early. And you've seen, you know, Fowler hitting a little bit lower, being able to drive in those runs. I mean, it's been up and down, which is just the way the Cardinals designed it. Not perfect, though. Not perfect. I mean, obviously, you still want to see some more production, and guys want to kind of get everything up and running. A couple things in the bullpen, a couple injury situations, and one of them, Carlos Martinez. We'll take a closer look at that straight ahead. Brian Soto with you. St. Louis Baseball Weekly, part of the Gateway Sports Network.
You can stay updated on the St. Louis Cardinals 24/7 at STLBaseballWeekly.com. Breaking news, plus all of the interviews from the show, and bonus web features are just a click away at STLBaseballWeekly.com.
You already know Arrowhead Building Supply is the premier supplier of roofing and siding in St. Louis. But did you know that Arrowhead is also your supplier of vinyl siding? Furthermore, is the very same vinyl siding we call Parkland siding. Yes. Fovea is for their doors and windows. You contractors remember Parkland siding very well. With its great performance, famous heart-shaped weep. Call your local St. Louis Arrowhead location today and compliment your doors and windows via vinyl siding. ArrowheadBuildingSupply.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a protection guaranteed quote.
Tax Mediation Services now at 800-301-5435. That's 800-301-5435. 800-301-5435.
Hey, Cardinal fans, the weekend of May 10, 11, and 12. The Cardinals host the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it's loaded with great giveaways. Friday, May 10th, it's the Yadier Molina and Roberto Clemente bobblehead. Presented by Coca-Cola and Walmart. On Saturday, the Adult Cardinals Performance T-shirt, courtesy of Maryville University. And on Sunday, May 12th, bring Mom to the game. It's Mother's Day. And that afternoon, the giveaways, the Cardinals Crossbody Bag. Tickets available at Cardinals.com/promotions.
Gotta be one of the first to see the season starting lineup? Then make sure you're following Brian Stoll on Twitter at StoleySTL for all the news from the ballpark.
You know, we had discussions today about what that looks like, how he feels, and he's in a spot where quite honestly, I feel like the best road right now for Carlos is to continue to get his side work, and it looks like it'll probably be better for him being a short stint. Correct. I think that's the trajectory we're going right now. He's recovering what he's doing, what he feels like he's capable of, and so we'll throw a couple more sides here, and then we'll test it from there. Ultimately, how he's built, what he's doing, and it's just not right now for him to go in longer throws, higher intensity, and so however that definition works, that's the reality where we are. And he's very assertive about wanting to contribute to this team. Medically, we feel really comfortable about his ability to do that within those parameters. And like all things, there'll be a constant evaluation of it. He knows he'll never push anybody beyond what they are comfortable doing or ever compromise the player's health. And his communication feels like he can, he can compete and contribute and wants to in that role.
That, of course, is Cardinal manager Mike Shildt discussing Carlos Martinez, story that continued to evolve over the past week. And we kept you updated over on STLBaseballWeekly.com almost daily because it was a case of Carlos is going out to play catch. Carlos is going to have a side session. Side session is going to be the next day. He's going to have a bullpen. But obviously it resulted with the Cardinals having that meeting with Carlos and looking at all the details that were there and deciding that it would be best for him to now focus his rehabilitation process on being a reliever rather than stretching out to return to the Cardinals rotation. Mike Shildt touched on it there, but it really came down to being able to sustain intensity for Carlos.
The way I would look at it, the way we've discussed it is, it's just about the amount of intensity and the length of intensity. Sustaining intensity to be able to, which would obviously requires order the sides, and to be able to pitch, every fifth or sixth day, you're asking. I mean, we've talked about this. You can always have a starter, two-star guys building guys up at the big level is really an unfair ask to the collective group. And so we'd expect him to be able to come back and go, a confident 80 to 100 pitches. And just don't feel like we're at that point right now. And that's an ask that he can give or we can ask.
That confidence is a big part of it because last year and then rolling into this year in terms of Carlos Martinez strengthening that shoulder, confidence, trust are things that he has talked about before. Not having trust to be able to let it loose, absolutely throw without any sort of apprehension. Now, our most recent conversation, you heard from Carlos Martinez on this program last week, talked about that he was feeling great, that he was feeling strong, and he throwing all of his pitches out there. Now, throwing all of your pitches doesn't mean that you're throwing full velocity, and he hadn't reached that point yet. So you combine the confidence in Carlos being able to throw all of his pitches, be able to throw them with conviction. Another word that we've heard a lot about here. And then being able to maintain that conviction. So it's not really a change of course per se, because the Cardinals it was almost to the point like, come on, guys have to make a decision soon, right? They never made that decision. They never committed. Carlos had always said, I'm going to do whatever the team needs. I mean, we know Carlos Martinez would like to be a starter. Can't blame him for that. We know Alex Reyes would like to be a starter. And he's back in the rotation in Memphis. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But, Carlos made it clear just like last year, he'll do what the team asks him to do, and he wants to contribute, and he does want to play. And if you're not able to have that intensity and confidence or trust to be able to sustain for 80 to 100 pitches, well then you've got to change course. You've got to change the direction. That's what the Cardinals did. Now it has a side benefit, I guess, if you will. Obviously, if he's going to be built up as a starter, this would be a much longer process. As it stands right now, Carlos Martinez is scheduled to have another side session today. You know, he had progressed from just the light catch, the flat ground sessions to a 30 pitch continual bullpen of moderate to high intensity. That's where he progressed to. Supposed to schedule to have a side session here this afternoon at Busch Stadium. And then later reevaluated. Later in the week, probably throw again, and then the Cardinals evaluate. Okay, is he ready to go down to extended spring? Throw some live batting practice or live pitching practice, pitchers like to call it, and then start to get into games. At some point, there is going to be a rehab assignment where he gets into actual game action just have to face hitters, even as a reliever. But it's going to be a much shorter process than that if he was going to build up to try and come back as a starter. However, Cardinal manager making it very clear, this wasn't about, hey, we could use Carlos as a reliever, let's get him back quickly, or Carlos, go ahead and take the longer time. That really didn't factor into this particular decision.
It's not driving at all. I mean, listen, we want Carlos on the club. That's why we get all the questions, right? I mean, he's a clear talent, multiple all-star, and he's a guy with above well below average proven skill set in this level. So we all recognize how much we'd like to have him on the team in whatever capacity we can get him in. But it's not in front of what's best for him. We're really going through this and having a dialogue with him. Okay, what is best for you? And so we're not expediting one way or the other. We're letting it take its natural course. We have. The program he's been on since we made this evaluation early in training was. This has been a very conservative pro Carlos, recovery plan, and we'll stay in those terms.
He said he would pitch whatever he wanted. He was okay with that. When you guys all talked today, is he more listening and then base decision on what he heard, or did he come saying, I feel this way, I'd like to do this, and then how did that kind of play out?
Without getting into great detail about the conversation, because it was private. It was a very collaborative conversation, very open. And the thing about it is this conversation is just a continuum of other conversations. So it wasn't a fact-finding conversation. Everybody knows the facts. It was more of continuing to gather the information so you can make an informed decision. That's what you do. And that's what we've been doing. So today was more, okay, this is all the information we gathered, this is everybody's viewpoint, share yours, and then let's turn that into action.
Yeah, I think we've seen obviously sports in general, whether it's baseball or any of the other major sports. You do see from time to time, it is part of the nature of the beast. An athlete kind of get chewed up and spit out. Treated as cattle, stock, as an asset, use them up, and when they can't help anymore, you move on. We've seen that. It's happened, and I think athletes accept it because they get part of the dream for a while, and it is what it is. That being said, in this instance, you look at the way the Cardinals have been very conservative with Carlos Martinez. They have not tried to rush him back. He had his off-season program. He was allowed some freedom in that off-season program in terms of they were touching base with him, but he was on his own. Comes spring, felt some discomfort. They shut him down. They didn't try and have him push through something. They didn't try and rush him back right away. They throw him into a bullpen sort of role. They have been taking essentially baby steps this whole process. And it was a natural progression where, you know what, a decision needed to be made because you've reached the point where it's time to start stretching some things out, or go ahead and focus on this. I mean, April is coming to an end. You've been on this program since February. What do you do? Where are you at? And again, we get Cardinals understand. Carlos Martinez would like to be a starter, but if you're physically unable to carry that load to meet the requirements right now, and you look at the depth in the organization, again, this wasn't a necessitation of, the bullpen has really been struggling. Cardinals need somebody at the back of games. You got to get Carlos into that role. Jordan Hicks has been doing a pretty good job, right? I mean, we just talked about a number of middle relievers who've been coming in and giving quality innings. To have another weapon, will that be useful? Absolutely. But is it what's necessitating or driving the decisions Mike's point out? No, I don't think that's the case. I think it's legitimately the sustainability of that intensity for a prolonged period of time. For whatever the reason is, whether it's just a mental thing at this point, if there's still some sort of physical hurdle that for whatever reason Carlos Martinez can't get over, hey, you know what? If he's good for one inning, two innings, three innings, and that's going to be the max here for a while as this continues to progress, they've made that decision, and you go forward with it now. So. All right. On that note, speaking of the other pitching, I brought up Alex Reyes. He had his first start for Memphis on Thursday night. We'll take a look and see how he's doing as a member of the rotation. What that could mean moving forward for the Cardinals, and a whole lot more. Straight ahead. Brian Sowitz, St. Louis Baseball Weekly, part of the Gateway Sports Network.
You can stay updated on the St. Louis Cardinals 24/7 at STLBaseballWeekly.com. Breaking news, plus all of the interviews from the show, and bonus web features are just a click away at STLBaseballWeekly.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-301-5435. That's 800-301-5435. 800-301-5435.
Hey, Cardinal fans, the weekend of May 10th, 11th, and 12th, the Cardinals host the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it's loaded with great giveaways. Friday, May 10th, it's the Yadier Molina and Roberto Clemente double bobblehead, presented by Coca-Cola and Walmart. On Saturday, the Adult Cardinals Performance T-shirt, courtesy of Maryville University. And on Sunday, May 12th, bring Mom to the game. It's Mother's Day. And that afternoon, the giveaway is the Cardinals Crossbody Bag. Tickets available at cardinals.com/promotions.
You already know Arrowhead Building Supply is the premier supplier of roofing and siding in St. Louis. But did you know that Arrowhead is also your exclusive supplier of Fovea vinyl siding? Furthermore, Fovea is the very same vinyl siding which is called Heartland siding. Yes, Fovea is famous for their doors and windows. But you contractors remember Heartland siding very well, with its great performance and those famous heart-shaped weep holes. Call your local St. Louis area Arrowhead location today and compliment Fovea doors and windows with Fovea vinyl siding. ArrowheadBuildingSupply.com.
Need those last-minute lineup changes when you're waiting in line outside of Busch? Then be sure to follow Brian Stoll on Twitter at StollySTL for all of the news from the clubhouse and more. And now, back to St. Louis Baseball Weekly with Brian Stoll.
I feel like I've thrown a lot of strikes, but then I look up and fifth inning, I'm near 100 pitches, so I still got a lot of work to do.
You talked about finding something in your ball the other day. Were you able to translate that into the game tonight?
Yeah, probably the most curveballs I've thrown in a long time today, and didn't land a ton of them, but I landed them when I needed them, so it was definitely a pitch I needed because my cutter was pretty much non-existent today, and change was very average.
You say Yadier was really good back there tonight. What does that mean exactly?
I didn't hit every one of my spots, but Yadier was able to get pitches, hold them in the zone so the umpire could see, and I was missing my spot, still in the zone. Yadier was there.
Yeah. Daniel Ponce, give him credit to Yadier Molina, who doing the job behind the plate. The early afternoon games after the night game hasn't mattered. We've seen a little bit of Matt Wieters, and Matt Wieters comes through with a couple big hits. Continuing the theme. Again, qualifier, put the asterisk there. I understand this is the end of April. We're heading into the final week of the first month of the season. But when you look at the way the Cardinals have employed their different weapons, the different players that have stepped up, either on the mound or at the plate or defensively or on the base pass, It's really been an impressive and fun run to watch where there are 2.5 games on the National Central during the weekend. I got you. There's a lot of baseball left to be played. But this is the second five-game winning streak they've put together. We'll see how much they carry it through the weekend against Cincinnati. But you are seeing the different contributors. Daniel Ponce de Leon coming up. Put in a nice effort. He had talked when he came up. He was actually, when he got the news, he was in the middle of a bullpen session. Ben Johnson, the Memphis manager, came running around and said, hey, stop throwing, because he was going to have to go up to St. Louis. But he was in the middle of using the Rapsodo, which if you haven't done it, make a point and pull up the article from Derek Gould in the St. Louis Dispatch. He did a really nice job of writing about Rapsodo, which is a St. Louis-based company that is really changing the pitching technology being used by teams. And it was really ironic. I read the article earlier in the morning and thought, well, that's pretty interesting to hear about how this goes beyond Pitch Tracker with the different access and availability. It's advanced technology that the various teams are using, and then a few hours later, Ponce de Leon was in the Cardinals clubhouse talking about, with the Rapsodo, I was down there and using that, and he used it to adjust his curveball. He was able to look and see that he wasn't just about the rotation, it was about the access and the release. So he changed a little bit of how he was torquing, the twist of his wrist, release, and was able to get the adjustment that he wanted. And talked about he had it in the game as well. So that combination of, you know what, still can rely on old school baseball. It doesn't look right. But some of this new high-powered technology that continues to play a larger role in the game, pretty cool as well. But Daniel Ponce de Leon stepping in and doing well. Then obviously he was optioned back down to Memphis afterwards, the up and down. Daniel Ponce de Leon pitching well. Austin Gomber, PCL Pitcher of the Week, through a 7-inning shutout. That was a complete game. They only played 7 innings that night. So he was named PCL Pitcher of the Week, and Ponce talking about how both he and Gomber have taken to heart the message from Mike Shildt that they are major league pitchers need to hold themselves accountable and pitch to that level while they're at Memphis. And by their time, they'll be back. They will be making contributions at times this season. Which brings us to our minor league spotlight. Brought to you by our friends over at Happy Apples. Happiness comes in more flavors than one. Happy Apples, get all their delicious treats by visiting happyapples.com. That's Happy Apples with an S.com. I know some people are enjoying those Happy Apples over Easter, some in Dearborn, so again, hope you enjoyed the holiday and maybe you had a Happy Apple. Happy Apples for Luke Gregerson. He's ready to be back in the big leagues. He's chomping at the bit. He's back in Springfield, but he's getting closer. He's getting closer. And I know some people are, wait, what? No. Luke Gregerson. Think about this. The dude had a lot of tread on the tires. And you know what? Last year did not go the way that he wanted. Didn't appear in as many games, was unable to throw very many innings. It was basically a lost season for Luke Gregerson and the St. Louis Cardinals. No way, other way to look at that. It is what it is. But he's had, again, like Carlos Martinez, the Cardinals have allowed him time to recuperate, to heal, to take the slow process of baby steps to where now, if you look at Luke Gregerson, he's pitching pretty well. He's done about all you can down in Memphis. Before that, it was Springfield, started in Palm Beach. So now he is in Memphis where it's going to be, in Springfield, where it's going to be a little bit of a more natural, less structured sort of thing. But the difference in Luke Gregerson today versus Luke Gregerson last year, well, let him tell you about it.
I did back-to-back in Memphis already. Came out of that really nicely. Threw the ball well. Bounced back on the consecutive days as well. Came here, played catch. Felt really good. So, no, I guess residual effects so far, and hopefully we continue down that path.
Left to check on?
I think I'm going back down to Springfield right now, just to get more of a, I guess, structured bullpen outings where nothing's scheduled. I don't know when I'm pitching. I'm just going to get up, throw whenever they tell me to. Get up, get down, maybe come in the middle of the inning, whatever it may be, and just see where how that reacts and go from there.
Yeah, nothing wrong. Get up, get down, right? No, Alex, sorry, we're talking about Rays. Luke Gregerson, he's back in St. Louis, played catch, evaluated by doctors, and this is the course of action. But He's been checking those boxes off, back to back. Yep, boom. Did that in Memphis. Still felt okay. Went down to Springfield. He threw on Wednesday evening another scoreless inning where he struck out two of the three batters that he's faced. I understand the numbers last year were not good for Luke Gregerson. But if he is able to contribute now, and by all signs, he's looking healthy, he's looking like he can pitch. If he is back in old Luke Gregerson form, then that's another veteran arm with experience that you can add to the depth of this Cardinals bullpen. And as I mentioned before, it's night and day difference for him to talk to him and ask him how he feels today versus how he felt last year.
Yeah, it's, it feels tremendously better. Last year I would have a hard time bouncing back from an outing, no matter how many pitches I threw. Right now it seems to be, knocking on wood, cross my fingers, but haven't been sore, haven't had any effects in the front of my shoulder, kind of where I was feeling it before, and being able to go day to day and go back to back, whatever it may be, has all felt really good. So
today just kind of a check-in so they could visually see and watch and then kind of determine what would be next?
I guess. Maybe. I saw the doc, obviously, just to cross off, check off some boxes with strength and see how I'm feeling. And so now come with game plan, and game plan is head back down for the rest of the weekend and see how it goes.
I know you want to be back here, but it sounds like Springfield's really taking you.
Well, hopefully we'll go down there and I'll continue my scoreless inning streak from the last 11 years. And I think it's somewhere around 27, 28 innings.
Yeah, now I guess it's 29, maybe 30 innings. Again, kind of unofficial. His last season there as part of the team was 2008 before he was traded to San Diego. But no, the Springfield fans, you see all kinds of pictures and the organization, they love having Luke Gregerson down there. But obviously, he wants to get back to the big leagues. That's why he didn't walk away from the game, because he wants to pitch again. And he's pitching effectively right now. He's feeling healthy. He's not having any of the issues that he had last year. The numbers have been pretty spectacular. So at some point, especially as the clock is winding down on his rehab assignment, Cardinals are going to have to make a decision, and you would expect that Gregerson will be back, and then one of the younger arms that has options, or maybe even a position player, again, depending on how things work. We saw that, Michael Wacha expected to be back in the rotation here shortly. Tyler O'Neill, who is 1 for 11, one hit. It was a home run last night, or I'm sorry, Thursday night. Yeah, a home run for Tyler O'Neill down at Springfield. One hit in the 11 at-bats. He's eligible to come off the disabled list. So, Cardinals haven't made that official yet, but expecting that to happen here very early in the weekend. So, the various pieces, and there's still upside, still players that haven't really kicked it into high gear as of yet. So it's that ebb and flow, because there's going to be some valleys. That's just the nature of the beast over the course of the season. The fact that you've already had a large group of players step up, but there's another group of players that's ready to be able to make a contribution. I just think this is all tracking in a very positive direction. As I said at the very beginning of the show, not putting the cart before the horse, but I think this all trends in a very positive direction. Alex Reyes, mentioned his name a couple of times. Thursday night, he threw 2 2/3 innings. That was actually his second start. This is his first road start since he was put back in the rotation down in Memphis. But 2 2/3 innings on Thursday. He allowed 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. He threw 46 pitches, 22 of them were strikes. Now, Mike Shilds maintains the Cardinals aren't looking to try and build Alex Reyes up to an 80 to a 100 pitch count. But it will be interesting to see how far he gets stretched and how long they continue, because this was meant to be, the way it was explained, was to get him in a structure that he was comfortable with, that started his routine, and allow him the time in terms of side sessions. That you've got those days in between, and you've got multiple innings, to be able to basically work on all of his pitches. Because of the time that he missed, being able to take this route, again, a conservative approach, and then you have Alex Reyes ready for really a variety of roles, because he'd have the flexibility that if you wanted to stretch him out a little bit further, that would be an arm available for the rotation if it was needed. But obviously he could give you multiple innings out of the bullpen, and we know how dynamic his stuff can be, that if you need some help just on one particular batter or a hot spot or late in the game, another sort of weapon. And think about that. Think of what we've seen from the Cardinals thus far And you have Michael Walker missing one start because of some tendonitis in his knee. Again, the expectation that it's just going to be the one start. You've yet to see a big contribution out of Alex Reyes or Carlos Martinez. You've got Austin Gomber, who's throwing the ball well down in Memphis. You had Daniel Ponce who came up and gave one start. And oh, by the way, you still have this Cardinals rotation where Miles Michaelis, it's a couple of starts now. He felt he threw the ball well in Mexico, came in and is, looking like vintage Miles Michaelis, as Mike Schultz described. Adam Wainwright had a start that didn't go so well. Back on track, was able to give you 6 good innings. Jack Flaherty, we're seeing the continued evolution of a young pitcher, but the 10 strikeouts the other day sure looked pretty darn good. You're seeing this all come together. It should be a fun weekend. Hopefully the weather's nice. There's some nice giveaways. They're giving away the stadium blanket and the Yachty tumbler and I guess the Yachty kids uniform on Sunday. But you've got Cincinnati coming to town. The Cincinnati team, David Bell's got them playing. They're scrapping. They've got some more talent, so it should be a good series. But it should be a good season too, as we put to bed the first month of the 2019 MLB season. All right. Stay updated. You can head over to STLBaseballWeekly.com. We'll keep you updated there. You can follow me on Twitter at StullySTL. But until the next time, Brian Stull saying so long from St. Louis Baseball Weekly.
You're listening to WGNU St. Louis, operating on 920 AM